welcome back. So we've been getting things ready, which is great, but it's time we did something with Firebase. So we've got this post, it's purely local, and what we want to do is we want to push it to our Firebase database. I've got a little bit of data in mine, so I'm just going to blow mine away, just because that's where you'll be starting to, so with a nice empty slate here. And we want to start pushing our post on up. So if we go to the last line of code we typed to the create, I've closed it since the last line of code. So over here it says to do submit the post. So normally what we would do is right here, we would say, hey, how do we want to submit this? Do we want to use the standard Firebase API and just push it up? Or do you want to use Angular Fire? And Angular Fire kind of makes the two-way relationships where you can retrieve or push. And I think, honestly, since I'm in a create post area, what I would have done before is I would have used the standard Firebase API and I would have pushed it up, and it would have been fine. It would have been no big deal. Would have been fine. But in this app, we're wanting to teach you about services and streams, of course, too. And really, the right way to do it is with a service. And so now with a service, you can use the Angular Fire API, and that service can be responsible for all pushes, all sets, all retrieval. It can be responsible for everything for posts. That's exactly what we want to do. Is we want to create a new service for managing our post. So go ahead and open up terminal or whatever, and make sure you're in the services folder again. So maybe you're in the models folder. So once you're in the services folder, you can type ngg service, and we're going to make a post service. Whenever you make a service, you can see that it made it inside the services folder, and it still hasn't been provided yet. That's actually a pretty easy step. We just need to go over here and say, hey, post service, and we have to do the import, and now we've got this thing that we can use over here. So this post service is going to need to have different methods. So he's going to have a method for pushing a new post. You can call it push or you can call it add. It doesn't really matter to me. And so he's going to receive a post, and this is going to be the post that he's going to add. And so he's going to say, we'll just do a little CLG over on this side, to do push the post, post. And so now we need the other place to just call into here, right? And then he'll take care of it from there. So I come back over to my create post component. Really, his only job is to call on the service. So in order to use the service, you need to use dependency injection. So we'll say private post service, which is of type post service. And again, I just think it's really neat that you just say what type of class you want, and there's somebody that provides that class, and the whole thing just works out super slick. So down here, we can just say this dot post service. Dot add, maybe I should have called it push, but I called it add, and we just kind of pass the post over there. So I'm going to kill the console log from here because now I've got a console log in the other place. Just to make sure nothing is horribly broken, we'll just give it a quick test. So we'll just say test push, and it says push the post. The word push was new in the log, so I know that it actually did work and it's using the service now. And so now it's time for that service to actually do the real work. So this service, in order for it to do work, it's going to need access to the Angular Fire database. And so that's Angular Fire database. So import him. He's also going to need to know what path to push these posts onto. My plan, I deleted it from the console, was to have like an authors path and then a posts path. And what I like to do is I like to make that as a variable, right? So this is my post path, and it's just equal to the word post. I'm going to go ahead and make it plural for post because that's the way I typically do it. And what we're going to do on this post path is we're going to have a, we'll just go ahead and make it private, why not? A post stream, which is a Firebase list observable, which is going to fire arrays of post. And obviously you want to do an import for Firebase list observable as well. And since this guy's private, I'm going to go ahead and give him an underscore as well. And I'm going to set him up in the constructor as a this.db.list of the post path, actually. So this.postPath. And what he's going to do is he's actually going to listen for all posts, and he's also got built into him ways to push things up as well. And I went ahead and made him private because eventually I'll make other people allowed to get him, but I'll keep him private so that nobody else sets him, right? And so we'll say this.poststream.push post, and that should be enough to get it up. So I'm going to change the console log to pushing the post. So let's save it all up and see if this works. So we'll just say my first post. And so you can see that my database currently has no data in it, but the moment I hit this, enter, it says pushing the post, so it should be up there now. And I come over to my database, and voila, it's got it in there. And the body says my first post, and then the author key is correct, so it's this GM4. If I go over to the authentication, I find Fisher DS. You'll probably only have one user. It's from GM4, so all that is working well. Now I will mention that we have a post here, but we don't have an author yet. So nobody else like in the display would be able to see my post yet, because in order for them to get my picture, we're gonna have to save that to the database. But we'll do that in another step. So we'll just add a second post and then a third post. We're just gonna have a couple of them up in there and make sure those are all showing up just fine. So those look good. Suppose that really it's more fun if we can see posts, but that kind of feels like it should be a separate video. So just for the sake of, I know it's a short video, but just for the sake of keeping things elegant and concise, we'll cut this one off where it's just pushing post. It was admittedly trivially easy. We just needed to make this post service and call it. And then over in the post service, he did some things that we know how to do, right? So this Firebase list observable idea, connecting it to this path, and so you'll notice that this is now on the post path, and it pushed up a post. In fact, it works so reliably, I'm going to go ahead and take that out before I check it in. So this is push a post to Firebase. Great. So we'll see you next time where we display some posts. See you then. Bye.